Good morning, I'm Chistie Wilson, and today I want to discuss with you the idea that media is bad for society, in particular reference to video gaming violence. So did you know in 2013, 75% of parents surveyed by Common Sense Media stated that they think violent video games contribute to real-world violence? Personally, I find this statistic unsurprising. It is not difficult to find information that attributes video game violence to real-world violent behavior. In my own research, I found a report from the daily morning news show, Sunrise, that is watched by millions of viewers that indicated that parents should be concerned and worried for their children. And I also found Barbara Biggins from the ACCM saying that video games result in, and I quote, desensitization, loss of empathy, and a lack of appreciation of the real-life consequences for violence, as well as many other popular media outlets that claimed this causation. However, there was also plenty of evidence available that refutes this. Doug Lowenstein from the Entertainment Software Association assures concerned parents, like those in the Common Sense Media, there isn't a single study that's found that after playing an aggressive video game, kids engage in real-life violence. And this is proved by studies done by researchers such as Bensley and Van Enwyk, and Cunningham, Engelsutter, and Ward. In fact, despite the high publicity of cases that involve a violent individual who played video games, such as the Sandy Hook shooting, Frontier Middle School shooting, and the 2011 Norway attacks, Christopher Ferguson believes that during the era in which video games soared in popularity and violent content, youth violence and violent crimes have plummeted in most industrialized countries to 40-year lows. So why is it that so many in our society still have negative attributes towards video gaming? I believe that the social perception of video gaming is instead due to the correlated effect of media effects logic and moral panic that has instigated biased research and resulted in a self-fueling new media cycle of moral panic. The strong association between video gaming and violence is largely due to the moral panic response video gaming has attained. Moral panic is an episode of exaggerated or misdirected public concern over a perceived threat to social order. Stephen Harrington in the Week 3 lecture explains that moral panics often arise when a new medium is introduced to society and when this medium decentralizes power and democratizes access. The perception of video game violence is well described by the 5 elements of moral panic that are concern, hostility, consensus, disproportionality, and volatility, and these elements act interrelatedly to instigate the perceptions held by society. The results of the Common Sense Media survey already tell us that video game violence is treated with high levels of concern, and the parents fear the presumable causes for the rest of society, that being violence in society. And it is also apparent that it is creating high levels of hostility as video gamers are increasingly stereotyped, as described by Stephen Harrington in the Week 4 lecture, as first and foremost violent, but also unhealthy and addicted. These all attribute to the new media cycle of moral panic. The assumption of media effects also plays a crucial role in the cycle. When a new medium is introduced to society, the logic of media effects assumes that, as according to Sparks and Glenn in 2006, the communication of a message in a mass medium can be compared to shooting a gun that contains a magic bullet, that once the message reaches the audience, it will exert powerful, relatively uniform effects on everyone who processes it. This assumes that if there is a violent message in a video game, this violence will powerfully and directly affect the video game player. According to David Gauntlet in 1998, there are many flaws with the media effects model. Most relevant of these is his declaration that media effects logic has a decontextualized view of content and reduces the complex range of reactions to the stereotyped physical reactions, meaning that those who negatively attribute video gaming stereotypically to violence assume that violence is always shown for bad reasons or in an uncritical light. So when you already have so many in society with a negative perception of what the possible effects of video gaming is, it is not surprising that it can result in biased research. For this discussion, I want to refer to the Sandy Hook shooting in 2012. The tragic and unjust nature of the crime created significant cultural impact. So when information came to light that the shooter, Adam Lanza, played video games, this fueled the already concerned and hostile attitude society had of video gaming and caused many to blame his use of video gaming for the crime. However, despite the research already available that does not hold video gaming as a causation for violence, Frank Wolf, a political figure, called for a study of the effects of media violence and stated that, and I quote, "The court decision shows we need to do more and explore ways Congress can lay additional groundwork on the issue. This report will be a critical resource in the process." And as Christopher Ferguson concluded in his article in 2014, this hardly calls for objective research with no prior assumptions about what it should find. Research that is influenced in this biased way results in evidence that lacks the authenticity of research that is conducted with non-scrutiny and fair forethought. Unauthentic research, such as this and others of the same nature, are responsible for the continual refueling of society's video gaming moral panic. Stereotypically to the style of moral panic, however, eventually the fifth element of moral panic, which is volatility, will cause the moral panic around video gaming to dissipate. And while it is difficult to state whether or not it will leave behind any social changes, there will continue to be no causation between video gaming and violence. Thank you.